Just three ordinary people from the hills of eastern Kentucky. We don't have all the answers, but we do have all the questions. This is the Just Add Bourbon podcast with Jimmy Don, JD, and Don. Welcome, everybody, to the Just Add Bourbon podcast. I'm Jimmy Don Kerr.
I'm Don Giesica.
And I'm JD Darren. What's going on?
And it is another beautiful Sunday evening here in the hills of eastern Kentucky. And guys, I've been outside all day, all weekend, and it is beautiful out there today. What a day to be outside and to, just to look at these beautiful mountains that we live in.
Right, yeah. I'm always in a better mood when the sun is out. But what up with yesterday? I mean, it was icing.
I wish Mother Nature would get. What are you going to do, baby? Let's just. If you need me to rub your back, whatever you need, I'm down for it.
Listen,
you're killing me.
I was out yesterday, right, campaigning. I went out. I figured 12:30, 1 o'clock. I'll go out. People will be stirring by that point. And the sun was shining here. Now, it was a little cold, but the sun was shining. And I thought, well, I'll get out and go for a little while. The first place I went, I was standing up at Middle Fork Garage talking to Chuck Jarrett, and we were standing there talking. And while we were standing there, it started sleeting. Yeah. And I was like, what is going on? And then I was talking to another guy, and it started raining. And they were trying to – being on the campaign trail, guys, really interesting. We can talk about this. Like when I went to one house, and they were rounding their cows up. Their cows had got off the hill and got into their yard and was eating. And so I was out there helping them roust up cows. But it started raining, and one of them was a talker. This guy that I was talking to, he's a talker. And I was like, look, dude, I would love to sit here and talk to you, but I'm getting soaked, and it is freezing out here. I got to get in the car. So, but Don, let's sit back for just a second. We normally start the show, with what's been going on. JD, did anything happen this weekend? Any big changes in your life?
No big news coming from me. I don't know. No, I got married Friday. So I know that was a big shock for a lot of people.
Idiot. Outliving the single life, living it up. Me living vicariously through you, and you went and got married.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
Jimmy Don's really mad at me just because I got married. Just because we get to hear the off-air stories anymore.
That's right. I'm really upset about that, Don.
Congratulations, JD.
No, congratulations for a boy.
So tell us about your special day.
So we just had the Tyler O'Connor come over and marry us. We had a real hard time, man, finding somebody to marry us, throughout the week. And we finally, Tyler had got his ordination through, online, just got his online
like
ordination.
Eric.
I can't believe she did that.
I see you, Eric.
But we dated before. I know it's it was kind of a sudden thing.
Right.
I think we were both just tired of being out in that, world and the game or whatever, and tired of running around. And we found our way back to each other, and we thought, what, let's just do this thing.
Yeah, well, that's good.
That's
so why do you think you guys had a hard time finding somebody to marry you?
Well, one, because we've both been married before.
Yeah, I ran into that too. That's why I asked that question.
And, a lot of people were just, turned off by that, and I would never ask nobody to go against it. If they have that belief, I'm not going to ask somebody to go against that.
Same.
And so I guess over to the courthouse, a lot of people don't do it because I guess they don't have to get into if you start marrying people, then you have to marry people from all walks of life, and they don't want to get into all that stuff, which I get. It's cool with me. And so we finally made it happen, though. So that's the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so much so that I was about to get ordained. If I could have got ordained fairly quick, I was going to marry JD.
Yeah, where we're in Tennessee, we know tons of ministers and stuff like that, so it made it pretty easy for us. But I would imagine it was a little harder up here because we have a lot of Baptists, and they won't, marry divorcees. Yeah. And I'm like you, I respect their position. I don't look to change anybody's position. I don't think anybody should look to change anybody's position, but I'm glad you found Tyler. He looked like he did a great job. I saw the pictures on Facebook.
He did.
And can we say her name?
Oh, of course, yeah.
But Meredith is a great girl. I'm with Eric on this. We got to meet her at the debates, and she's so sweet, so pretty. I don't know what you paid her, but
hey. I'll tell you, I'll ever get off her.
Oh goodness!
Yes, that would have got away from me. I knew that too. If I became ordained, it's untelling what I might do. So
we're excited, man. We're like I said, we're excited. We made it back to each other. We're excited for the future, and this will be good for everybody. So we're happy.
Well, good.
Well, that's great.
God bless you, JD. You know,
Yeah.
we're always in your corner.
Right.
Oh no, I give him a hard time about it, but I'm really happy for you, brother.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely.
Jimmy don't,
So, yeah, for
Jimmy don't
sure.
always has my back. I know this.
Oh, yeah.
100%, dude. You
Yeah,
ain't got to
you
worry
know
about
that.
that ever. So,
Yeah.
all right. So let's get into it this week, guys. And we had an exciting week. The Just Add Bourbon podcast hosted probably the first debates that have been done in Martin County in 40, 50 years. I really enjoyed, I don't know about you guys, I enjoyed some of the older folks in our community talking about how, they would do the courthouse speakings, during the elections and how all that stuff went down. I really enjoyed, learning a lot about the history of how the elections went down in our counties back in the day. That was a lot of fun. We got to do it in their historic courthouse. That room is absolutely gorgeous. And from all the feedback that I received, it was very well received, and all the candidates did a really good job. So, Don, let's start with you, because John and I want to, before we get into everybody kind of talking about it, I really want to give props to Don and JD, because this was their baby. It was their idea, and it was their baby. And I tried my best to stay out of it, obviously, because I'm a candidate. But you guys did a phenomenal job, and it was a phenomenal thing. I thought the questions were well thought out. I'm just incredibly proud to be a part of the podcast and what you guys did, with these debates. I want to give you guys a round of applause. I thought you guys did, just phenomenal, and very, very proud of both of you and how that was handled. So, Don, let's start with you.
Sweet.
Kind of give me your just your feedback. Let's start with just the general feedback about what went on those 2 days.
Right. Well, I want to give credit to JD. It was his idea. I just kind of punted along and helped him. And then, there at the end, he was like, hey, just go ahead and ask some questions. And then it just all worked out beautifully. I thought it was a phenomenal idea. But, when we first started talking about doing it, I think a lot of people were concerned about what the tone was going to be like, if it was going to be really about being inclusive and being like one team and, this one world type of thing. And I get that. I get why you'd be a little turned off, because what have we lived for these past 10 years is nothing but division. So when you have all this division and then you decide that you're going to throw something like this to where you put opponents in the same area, and especially back here, guys, everybody's alpha males back here, right? So, you never know what to expect. But then we get in there, the old courthouse is beautiful, and then here come the candidates one by one. I mean, we were busy. We had everybody on a pew. There was somebody on a pew, every one of the pews. It was so busy. I didn't expect that big of a turnout, but we did. The Mountain Citizen, our local paper, they streamed it for us. They did a beautiful job. But these candidates gave me so much hope. And I am not a girl that lies. We've all learned about Donnie Do on this podcast for the past year, and I shoot straight from the hip. I can't lie. They really honestly gave me hope. A lot of hope. The questions were hard, especially for the judges. I had tons of questions for the judges. They held not just the judges, but the mags too. Jimmy, Don, you all did so good. Everybody was able to just get up and talk about what their vision was for their district, talk about what their concerns were. But then everybody seemed to take a moment, and this is what makes Martin County special. Everybody took a moment to say, hey, I feel like I'm the best candidate, but you're not going to go wrong if you pick this guy either, and that's the community sense that I loved about Martin County. They're not wanting to attack each other. And all this time, I really thought that's how it was. I really thought they were attacking each other up here just as much as they're attacking each other on national TV. Didn't you guys have those same concerns a little bit?
Yeah, of course, because, it was new for us. We didn't know what to expect either. So,
yeah. But then they come in, and I mean, everybody was, just put their best foot forward. And honestly, I know I get a little evangelical on here sometimes, but to me, it was a great blessing. It gave me lots of hope. They talked about the beauty and the success of what Martin County was. And then they acknowledged, and that's what you have to do. You have to acknowledge when you're in a dip, when you're in a decline. They all acknowledged the decline. And then they gave us a vision for how and what their plan looks like if they're able to implement it to bring us out. Now, did we hit, as hard as we could on some of the questions? No. And everybody listening, I'm going to credit JD and Jimmy Don on that, because I'm full throttle. So I'm ready to hit hard, because I have the advantage of living 50% of my time in Tennessee. So I know I can hit hard. I know these politicians are supposed to live up to what their promises are. But Jimmy Don and JD have to stay in the same community with everybody. And they're like, Don, let's just take it easy. Let's have nice questions. Because if y'all noticed me in the debates, I'm like, is this question okay? Is this question okay? And it was a lot of fun.
And then she'd ask them anyway.
Yeah, and then she'd ask it anyway.
I did ask 2 anyway. I shot 2 anyway. So if there was ever any, but the thing was, what was funny, especially, and I want to go ahead and bring it, but I brought up the alcohol question. And you all just butt in if I'm talking too much. But I brought up the alcohol question. So for everyone listening, if you're not from Martin County, the town of Inez is dry, and it's remained dry. I'm not advocating for bars. Nobody, I don't think, is advocating for bars. But where we're at is, except JD,
Except for JD. Yeah.
Where we're at a crossroads of trying to figure out how we can find some lost revenue, some money that's being left on the table. And so for me, I wouldn't mind seeing Inez go moist, but it doesn't matter what I want. I can't even vote in Martin County. All I can do is influence. Okay. So I wanted to ask the candidates what they thought about alcohol. And, we got some really enlightening answers, didn't you think?
Yeah.
So, there's just a lot to cover on these debates. I mean, I could sit here and say so much about it, but I want to hear y'all's thoughts on it too.
JD, kind of follow up with that, and I'd just like to know what your the general thoughts about what we experienced those 2 days.
So first off, let me say kudos to Dawn. She done an awesome job with her question, and I thought she was right on point with a lot of what she had to say. A lot of her questions were, like she said, she's full throttle. So you don't have yes or no, boys. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So that was good. That she kept control. She didn't let people politic their way away from the questions. You want to answer, she made sure she got one. I thought that was really good. I also thought the tone that was set by the opening prayer of both nights set a really good tone for an open and candid debate, without the mudslinging. And I thought that was really, really cool to see. These people, these mostly, it was all men except for Susie.
Yeah.
Susie didn't have an opponent there, but she got up and I felt like she really helped herself.
She did. Mm-hmm.
I felt like I was disappointed that everybody didn't show up. I was disappointed that everybody didn't show up but I also understand why everybody didn't.
Right.
I think, and I'm just going to say it right here on air, I think a lot of people didn't show up because they don't have a vision. They don't have the answers to the questions. And
or the temperament. Or the
temperament to be able to do that. Mm-hmm. So, I'm disappointed that they didn't show up, but I hope that, everybody, I'll tell you now, everybody that I'm going to vote for was there the other night, but one of the 2 nights. So there's nobody that, if you didn't show up there, I promise you, I'm not going to vote for you. Because if you can't stand up and face the public and stand by what you believe in, then you don't deserve my vote. And I think everybody should feel that way. I know everybody does it.
Yep.
But that's how I feel. I thought the candidates gave me a lot of hope for the future in Martin County. And it's so weird, man. And I get, put in this box a lot because I'm the Democrat around here, but how much does my Democratic race or party affiliation matter in these local elections? Really?
Right.
Not at all, really.
None. They're dead. They're dead in the water.
And it was good to see, me even agree with so much of what was being said on stage, and enjoying the vision that Jimmy Don set forth. I thought that was really cool. Or agreeing with a lot of the candidates on national politics I do disagree with, but on local politics, I'm 100% behind them. So that was really, really good for me from that aspect, that I'm not so much different than these guys, especially when it comes to local politics, So I thought the tone was great. Hope it's something we can continue to do. I understand people didn't understand how the question was going to be, what the attitude was going to be, or if I was going to, if I was going to vote for so-and-so, I was going to give this guy a harder question or that guy a harder question. And I hope now we have proved ourselves that we are not going to be that way, that you can come there and we can have an open discussion and be cordial with each other. And so I think it was just great.
Well, no, and I agree with that. And I think it was maybe Lance that asked that question of me, and it was about accountability.
Mhm.
And accountability starts by facing the public, right? By standing up there and taking the hard question and giving and doing your best to answer. You may not be the greatest public speaker. It doesn't matter. If you'll stand up there, if you got the nerve, because that was hard. I actually got a little nervous when we started, and I don't get nervous. I talk. That's what I do for a living, and I do it in these board meetings. But I got a little bit nervous, and so it's a little nerve wracking. And but I thought that I really liked that question, and let's kind of start there. When we're going to kind of break down some of the things that we heard through the debates, and we're going to kind of discuss, and that is and I think the line of the night for night one was during that accountability question when my opponent Mikey stood up and gave out his phone number.
He
That was
did.
awesome.
That was good. That was good.
That was so good.
That was
Yeah.
his
It
best
was so
moment, for
good.
sure.
Yeah.
I think that was the line of the night.
Yeah.
And that was, and it's funny what Don said was, you've got all these alpha males, but we all know each other
Mhm.
and we all like each other. And Mikey and I are related. I've known Mikey my entire life.
Yes.
Now if it was a rough and rowdy brawl, I would just leave. I wouldn't even show up. but it was a debate, so I could show up. But I was honored to stand up there with him.
Yeah.
And field questions because he wants to be part of the solution. And not sit back and complain and be part of the solution. So let's talk about the accountability issue. And JD, let's start with you. What do we think as far as our local leaders? What do you want to see from them from the accountability aspect?
Man, I want them to stand up for what they believe in and vote. I don't want them to vote because that's how mommy would want me to vote or how daddy. I want them to grow a spine and say, you know what? I don't believe there should be alcohol sales in INS. Even if I disagree with that, because I obviously think there should be. I think INS should be moist, but I want people to stand up on their own 2 feet and not trying to please anybody else. That's what I want. I want people who want to have a real vision for themselves. I want people inviting other people to come to the physical court meetings and be involved in the process. So that's what I want from the accountability issue. I want them to post on Facebook, hey, this is how I feel about this subject. If I'm wrong about it, give me feedback and take that feedback from your constituents and make a educated vote on it. That's what I want.
No, absolutely. Yeah. And Don, one of the things I think I might have said, and I heard several people say that's really important to me, is that it is important to hold our elected leaders accountable. But our elected leaders need to hold our public and our citizenship accountable as well. Because in order to pull ourselves, we all have to start pulling in the same direction.
Right. And
if we don't do that, then we're never going to see the future here that we want to see. And do you agree with that? That it's
I totally agree. I totally agree. You can't. Martin County, not just Martin County, it's actually been a regional thing, and we've talked about this. Everybody kind of in Eastern Kentucky for a long time has had a chip on their shoulder. They want to fight each other. Even if it's fighting against the right thing, they're still going to fight against each other. Even if you have a candidate up there that is going to go against the tide, and they're going to change things for the better, you're not going to vote for them just because they're not related to you. We have got to stop that kind of thinking. Dead in the water. We had lots and lots. Let me say one thing before I get started. Lance Tackett also helped us moderate it. We want to give him a shout out. He's a young teacher here in Martin County, and he did a phenomenal job, and we're so proud of him. Now back to the accountability question that Jimmy Don was talking to me about. We had a lot of questions about the trash, did we not?
Yeah.
And not only did we have questions, but the people who were messaging us and saying, hey, we want you to ask the candidates what they're going to do about the trash. I mean, it was probably one of the top 2 concerns of this county. So again, if you're not from Martin County, when you come over here, you will notice in various parts of the county, tons of trash in the ditch line. That is not on just the leaders. That is on citizens. I know we have a high poverty rate, and these are facts that nobody likes to hear. And we have majority, because I pulled up the stats, the majority are on food stamps, and that's fine. Just because you're poor does not mean that you get a pass to be nasty. And I know that sounds cruel, but that's the truth. If you want to be dirty inside your own house, by all means, do what you want. But when you're going down our roads and down our streets, don't throw your trash out into the ditch line. Now, let's go to the leaders. Their role in that is they have got to figure out some way to enforce this. Now, I know that you guys used to have free trash drop-off. Is that true? Martin County used to have...
It was free for the residents, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
You used to have trash drop-off. I'm going to go ahead and tell you it was a mistake taking that away from the citizens. And I know that some people will argue we need the revenue, we need the revenue. Let me tell you what the people of Martin County hear every time any of these leaders are making decisions. This is what they hear. And the same thing goes with the trail too. When you're talking about changing the trash or charging people to ride in our mountains, all the people hear is another way for them to be charged to do something that they're already doing for free. You're doing this to poor people. You're doing this to people who are drawing a set income every month. So when you took free trash away and then you started charging them, that's great if you want to do it to me, who's sitting in Johnson County in Cross Creek subdivision, or if you want to do it to me in West Knoxville. But when you do it to an area to where these leaders have, you've got the population right in front of you. Am I not right? Everybody can pull up and tell how many people are living in poverty, how many living below poverty. These are demographics that anybody can Google, but leaders like Jimmy Don and such, they can dig down deep and really get into it. So when you decide that you're going to charge people who are already living on $800 and $1,000 a month, an extra $20 a month, well, you've just done them in. So the leaders need to think about things like that.
JD, what's your response to that?
Well, I mean, I think that we all understand that. I mean, I think the leaders understand that, and I don't think it's something they, take lightly when they do things like that. But it's just the money has to be paid for. And it's something Republicans always say: there's nothing for free, right? Like that money, somebody's got to pay for it. So you can continue doing what you've always done and continue to be broke, or you can change it up and try to have a pickup service like everybody else in the country has.
So let me push back on what you're saying just a little bit, Don, just for the sake of the argument. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
The last year that we had free garbage service in the county, it cost the county $1.2 million. Okay.
The budget is $6 million.
Yeah. With a budget of $6 million, $1.2 million was put into free garbage pickup. We were the last county by 20 years in Kentucky to go to paid garbage pickup. Okay. By 20 years. I mean, when I was in Richmond in college, that was 25 years ago, we paid for garbage pickup. It had to be done at some point when you have a budget of $6 million. Now, I agree that, you could haul anything, right? Like anything. And if it was people just, I mean, I would haul TVs down there. You'd haul old beds down there. I mean, anything. And we now have to pay for that too. If you're going to take the big stuff off, you've got to pay for that. Now, I would like to see a free trash day, in Martin County, where maybe the county can pay for something like that, where people can go once a month to this dump up here, and then we essentially pay for people to come in. I could see something like that being done.
Right.
But that's not the trash that we're seeing on the side of the road. People are just throwing stuff over the hill.
Yeah, regular trash.
Yeah, and just waiting for the creek to get up and it to flood and shove it all down the river. And that's essentially what's happening. So you have a $6 million budget. It was costing the county $1 million. Now, some people would argue that $1 million should have been put into our water system over the years. It should have been put into road maintenance over the years. It should have been put into those things. And so you're trying to manage that the best you can. And I understand that when you have, the poor folks, and it's tough anyway.
It is tough because remember, they're paying a lot for their water. We all know this. It's a stat. It's a number. We can't argue it. They're paying a lot for their electricity. These are people who are they're living literally, not even living check to check. Okay. They're going in the hole all the time. They need government assistance. I love my trash pickup, but that's me. I know the county would need to get there at some point, but the county also has taxes that have never been collected. So why haven't we went and enforced those types of things
fair
too and
question.
put that, okay? But see, we never go after the rich people in the county. We don't. We only go after the
fair.
poor.
It's a fair question.
And
That's a fair point.
And here's the thing. So my people would be considered poor.
Same.
And here's where here's where I'm at, okay? Because I've got tons of messages. I've got to go back to Tennessee for a few weeks, and then I'm going to come back. And then you're going to see me door to door, and I'm going to be rallying the base. And I'm going to go, if you do not like how things are going in Martin County, now's your chance. You need to get out and vote. I'm not going to tell you who to vote for because that's on them. You just need to go and vote, because right now all I'm hearing are complaints that I can't afford the trash pickup, so I don't have nowhere to throw it. I can't afford to, they're getting ready to charge people for trails. And I know they're going to say that the locals are going to have discounts, or the locals are going to have safe trails that they don't have to worry about being charged on. I don't want to hear any of that until I see some type of growth and progress that's actually happening in the city. And I don't want to hear any of that until the county and the city and the leaders go after people who owe taxes year after year. Once they pay their part, then by all means, go after my people. But until then, it needs to be a wall. You cannot keep attacking poor people. And that's all this is. This is an attack on poor people. A lot of things that I heard at the debates the other day, I sat and biting my tongue because all I could hear was, I know exactly how my friends and family are going to take this. They're going to take this as another payment that they have to pay for something that they're already getting for free. I don't know why people are scared of people with money. I mean, let's be honest. When you've got 60 to 70% of people, and
I thought Dawn was a libertarian. Now she's wanting to go. Now she's wanting the government to step in and bail people out. I don't understand.
I do, but no, I didn't say anything like that.
Well, yeah, if they're paying for the trash, if the government's paying for the trash, so that's not them taking care of themselves, right?
No, I never said the government needs to pay for the trash. I'm good with the trash pickup, but here's what I'm saying. Martin County tagged their people with trash pickup. They're getting ready to tag. If you're living in Martin County, you're also getting ready to get charged to ride in your hills. They're going to tell you that some trails are going to be free, and that's going to be true. But if you cross over on a designated trail and you get caught on it, it's going to have regulations and you're going to be fined. You will run into money on the trails. Okay. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have trash pickup. What I'm saying is, why did you have trash pickup right now when you could have took money that's already owed to the county and you could have put that towards the trash bill that you're saying is costing $1 million?
Yeah, but you're talking about only prolonging you're just pushing down the road 2 years is all you're doing. I mean, those taxes are only going to pay for so long.
I am. No, but you know what I'm doing, JD? Because it goes back to the question y'all asked me. I'm talking about accountability. You guys are not. If we want to talk about accountability, I want to know why we're not holding the people who owe us taxes accountable.
I mean, I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying if they pay those delinquent taxes, you're just pushing the problem down the road for 2 years, and then you're going to be in the same shape you always already was. So why not solve the problem right now and still go with those delinquent taxes and throw some money to the water board, throw some money to the road the county garage so they can get some equipment to work on some things. So the delinquent taxes, there's plenty of things we could spend that money on. I don't think the trash is one of those things that we need to do.
It's one of them that we could have.
But you just
okay. Let me clarify. I'm all about trash pickup. It's a service that I enjoy at both of my houses. I pay for it at both of my houses. But in this case, your trash pickup has not worked. Okay.
Right. And that's a different issue.
Okay.
That's a different issue. Yes.
Because the trash is now going to cost you money when you have to go and pick it up out of the ditch line. So we've got a big, giant cluster of a problem, and it's multifaceted. Sure. But when it comes to accountability, the citizens need to be held accountable for dumping trash, poor or not. Right. Okay. Go up to
you want to charge them more money.
Go up to no, because we need to go up and we can warn them, and you can give them 2 or 3 warnings, and then you have to charge, because now that's holding them accountable. Okay. Right. Because they didn't get out and vote to stop when you vote in Martin County, please correct me if I'm wrong. When you elect a magistrate, if you vote for a certain magistrate who is for charging for trails, then you're giving your vote to charge for trails, because your magistrate's making the vote for you. Is
Well, I
that
think that's
correct?
no. I think Kobe cleared that up Friday night, saying that it would have to be a countywide vote. I think,
But it's not going to be a countywide vote. It's going to be a fiscal court vote. So when you vote, when you vote for your magistrates, you need to make sure that your magistrates are in lockstep with what you want. Okay, is that correct, Jimmy Don?
I would think that would be correct. Yes, I
Okay.
think as far as, but the landowners who own the land where the trails go across have to. That's what you're talking about.
Well, the
JD.
trails are just one thing. The whether it's the trash, whether it's the trails or whatever. So because you didn't get out and you didn't vote for the magistrate that thought that you should still have free trash, now you have a legal and binding trash pickup service that you have to comply with. Okay. See, that's why people need to get out and vote. So for everybody who is inboxing me and complaining about trash pickup, you've already missed your opportunity. Rolling back laws is like rolling back, fat after you've gained 300 pounds. It's hard to do and it never really happens. Okay. So when we're getting into the trails, if you do not want these trails, don't vote for the magistrates that are for the trails, because you, the people, are not going to get to vote on the trails.
Okay, so let me address this before you go any further, because there's two different things going on here right now, especially with the trash. One of the enforcement is the big issue with the trash, in my opinion.
Yes.
The problem is there's no teeth in the bill. There is no, you're going to get a fine, or if there is that in the bill, nobody's enforcing it. So that's the problem we have with the trash pickup. Is that, and the other problem I see is not even actually on the roadsides, man. In my opinion, you go down over Route 3 and people's yards are just cluttered, filthy, trash, litter everywhere. And you know what that does to the property, to their neighbors who takes care of his?
Right.
It drives his value, it drives his home value down. That's not acceptable. It's not okay. There's got to be rules and regulations, and we got to have teeth in these bills, because okay, that's the law. You got to have the trash pickup. What's the recompense for that? What are you going to? Nothing. There is none. There's nothing.
Right.
So what's the use of having a bill that has no teeth in it? That doesn't make it.
That's right. And we asked.
So
remember,
that's
we
the problem.
asked.
That's the problem with the trash, in my opinion, is that it just doesn't have any teeth at all.
Yeah.
There's no enforcement at all because there's no teeth in the bill.
Right.
And then it probably goes back to I know we have a code enforcement officer, right?
Right.
Now, if they're not out doing their job, that's a problem.
Right. But I think he doesn't
have.
I think he has any leg to stand on, though, as far as I understand it. The bill does allow him to he can write the ticket, but.
Who wrote the bill?
I know anybody in the last 3 years has paid a speeding ticket in Martin County. You all?
No, I don't.
Because I can get out of one right now.
Okay, I'm going to have to dive in on this, because see, it takes me right back. It takes me right back to the very beginning. So we're all the way down the road now, and we're finding ways to charge poor people for every random thing. But we haven't started at the beginning of the road to where we're paying or forcing people to pay their taxes that they owe, their speeding tickets that they owe, their parking violations that they owe. See what I'm saying? We're skipping it for an elite class. And I don't
disagree with that at all.
We are.
I don't know that the speeding ticket's an elite class thing. I think that's everybody in Martin County.
Oh, it is. If you're related to somebody, you get out of it. And we've got
that's not elite class in Martin County.
Stop that.
That's not elite class in Martin County, because everybody knows somebody. Everybody in Martin County is connected to somebody.
But elitism and favoritism are two in the same. So if you're getting favoritism, look, if me and you, we're all good friends. If I'm speeding and you're the sheriff, sure, I'm going to be like, JD, please, I was rushing to get to mom's, let me out. And you may say, okay, fine. But if I'm doing it the second time, honestly, you need to give me the ticket, because I'm now taking advantage of your favoritism and your biasness. We've got to stop this. We've got to stop being so scared of people who we think have power. Just because people have money doesn't mean they have power, especially if you're drawing a check from the government. Please let me be clear. I don't care who you think in the county is powerful. They cannot call up Social Security and say, hey, I'm mad at JD, so cut his check off. It's never going to happen. Right. The government is never going to do that. If you're drawing a check, you have the biggest voice. You can push back all you want. All you want.
And so my point now, when we move on to the trail system, I kind of push back on the trash thing. The trail system, the reason why I think it's a good thing is the same way with, I think, why a good high school, a good school system, same thing, because it's good for everybody. It may take some years for those things to come to fruition, but it's good for everybody. Even these landowners who are going to, let people and going to end up not being liable because the county's going to have insurance. It's good for the county because it allows progress, because now we have money to do progress. Now you want that project, you want money going to the water board, you want money going to the county garage. This is the way we can, this is one avenue of a many. We need a lot of approaches. We need a lot of different prongs in this approach that we're going to have. But this is a good thing for everybody. Is it going to be better for some people than others? Yeah, that's the way everything is, right? But if it was a high tide, dude, it raises all ships. I think that's what the trail system does.
Right. But listen,
let me jump in here real quick, Don. Let me jump in here real quick. Just as far as, like, I agree with both of you, and I think that everybody should be treated the same. And if you're not paying your taxes, you 100% should have to pay your taxes. If you're throwing garbage in your yard and it's messing it up, for your neighbors, you should be fined. All those things are the same, and everybody should get treated. I don't care if you're poor or you're rich. Right. The rules should apply across the board to everybody. Now, on the trail system for me, and I can't remember which candidate it was.
Let me say this real quick. While you're there,
let
me say this real quick while you're there. Everybody wants to be treated the same until they are. And I've come across this firsthand. We're dealing with this water system and treating everybody the same, and they don't like it when they actually are treated the same. Go ahead.
No, and you're 100% correct, because I've had it on both sides, right? And I know JD has too, where you've got two different classes of people and they get just as mad at you. You try to make them follow the rules. It doesn't matter who it is, whether they're poor. But anyway, on the trail system, one of the candidates mentioned, there were some counties in West Virginia that adopted this, and they were coal mining counties just like we were, and their economy left, and it had a $40 million impact. And I looked that number up, and that number was correct. It had a $40 million impact on their local economies. Why wouldn't we want that? And here's the thing, Don, you can't say, and I agree, like, as far as that's the problem, we are free people, right? It's one of the best things about living here is we are free and we feel free, and we can roam these hills and we can do these things. But you can't complain on one side and say, hey, Martin County doesn't have anything. We don't have any money. We can't have this. And then when there's an opportunity to have something real that can have that kind of economic impact, where we could fix our roads, where we could enforce the trash code, where we could fix the water system, where we could fix all those things, and then say no. It's, we can't do that because I might have to pay a little bit. There's 500 other trails in this county to ride on that you don't have to pay.
So that's the answer, Tracy, Jude, your question right there. That was a great answer to that question. Is because the economic impact can be very, very.
And it can help us all.
I know that. But let me tell you guys something. And for the love of God, you all can do whatever you want to do, regulate the mountains, all to hell. Okay, do what you want. But when you all say this is good for us, that's your opinion.
Of course,
you have to let the people have a voice.
Of course,
honestly, if it's good for everybody, well, you got to give me a chance. If it's good for everybody, what are you scared of? Why not put it on the ballot? I'll tell you why, because I had some people tell me, and you know what they think about you in Martin County? They think you can't make the right decision. And to be honest, they have evidence that you haven't made the right decision, because look at your county. Look at your towns. Your county is literally on life support because of how you voted, because you voted for your friends and you voted for your cousins. That's why it's on life support. Coal, all the coal money, where'd it go, Jimmy Don? You should have had it in the water infrastructure, but you go to Frankfurt every time and you fight for the very thing that these people dug out. Am I not telling the truth? My dad was a coal miner. 100%. My uncles were coal miners. You're coal miners. We all grew up on coal mining money. Our leaders fumbled. Did they mean to? Absolutely not. Did they want to? Absolutely not. But because of the pattern that has been set for how we vote, now we have this different mindset. And you just heard it tonight. Everybody's opinions are being used as superior, and that's it. They think that the trail systems is going to fix Martin County, and that's it.
So, but we have to be able to look at examples of this. It's happened. We know we've seen it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, and let me say one more thing.
In a place very, very similar to.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You can
Mingo
get
County's not
alcohol.
similar to Martin County?
Nope. You can. I can go. Did you say Mingo County?
Yeah.
Mingo County has Walmart. Mingo County has bars.
Because
it has liquor stores. Nope, it had it before the trail system. And let me tell you something. Let me make it very clear because I can see that you're taking this wrong. I literally said, do what you want with the trail system. But I'm going to take the position for the sake of the show, and I'm going to tell you what poor people who are living on a check think. And here's what they think. They are only able to do so many things. They're not us. You know, I take 3 and 4 vacations a year. Jimmy Dawn takes vacations. You all take vacations, okay? But look at your neighbors. They don't. Do you know what they do in the summertime? They load their kids up, they get bologna sandwiches, and they have a big-eyed time for free in the hills. Now, I've had people say, we're going to have some trails that are free for the locals. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for giving us some trails that are free for us when we were the ones that cut all the trails. Every trail in this hill has been cut by local people. And now they're being mapped out. And do I think the trail system is great and going to drive some stuff here? Yes, if we make Inez moist.
All right, can I push back on that just a little bit? All right, and here's what I want to say. There's truth in what you're saying, okay? And I don't really disagree with anything that you said, but I want to take the position for the sake of the show that, and just in the experience that I've had and JD has had with our water, the reason that the decision was not made to do what really needed to be done was because they didn't want to upset people and not get voted for because their bill went up. And that's a lot of the reason why we are in the shape that we are in today. And it took somebody like me and JD and the people that are on the board now to come in and say, okay, look, I feel you. We're going to do, but we've got to fix this. We can't do it for nothing. And that applies to a lot of things, Don, I think in our area is I understand what you're saying. Like, I don't disagree with a word you've said, but the counterpoint to that is that way of thinking maybe has gotten us where we are today in a lot of ways because we wouldn't
make literally what I said.
Yeah. And we wouldn't make the hard decision to do what was really right and would benefit everybody in the community because maybe, and like I said, you're talking about a trail system that maybe is 1 or 2 trails in the entire county. We've got these mountains everywhere that people are going to be able to ride through. So it's like, I don't know, it's this catch-22 and it's really hard to figure out. That's why the job's hard, right?
I mean, I get it. But
why can't you
we can't turn away this economic impact. That if we get a chance, like you said, we've got to grab the ball and try it because what we're doing now isn't working.
Right. Everybody agrees that the trail system is a good idea. But where everybody is starting to, well, let me clarify.
Implementation is what you were talking about.
You have to consider we're not everybody. Yeah. Okay. Just because me and you and Jimmy Dawn think that it's a fun idea to have the trails open doesn't mean that people who are living on $500 and $800 a month think it's a fun thing. Okay. And I don't want to strip people of that. I want them to be able to still be able to go up in the mountains. And about the bologna sandwich thing, I ate bologna too. Well, actually, I don't anymore. I don't eat bologna anymore. And it has nothing to do with poor or rich. But when people don't have a ton of money, they do eat a lot of processed foods, and that's just part of it. So when you go up into the mountains, I take all kinds of crappy foods too, and I enjoy my time for free. But when you're going to start charging people for this, what are their kids supposed to be able to do? We see kids all the time driving side-by-sides and stuff. Are those going to be regulated? Are we going to start telling kids they can't do that? Are we going to start fining people for no helmets?
I mean, I think there's a lot to be considered when it does be implemented, and I hope the bills are strong. But I also think that's why we need to make sure we put people who are, and the word never came up there not that I was looking for. When I asked about an ideal candidate for the Economic Development Board, the word competent never come up. That's the word I was looking for. Competent.
Yeah.
We need competent leaders. We need to vote for competent people, get them in office, people who are proven to be able to get things done, not somebody who, I get it, man. There's a lot of people with great intentions, but great intentions don't get grants. You understand? Good intentions doesn't make you smart. I mean, it just doesn't. So we need to.
Education doesn't either.
Right. Absolutely right. So we need to vote for competent people and get them in office. That way they can put together a good bill and a good implementation where everybody wins.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with that. Like I said, and it is, Don's right in the sense that it is a complicated issue. The trail system is complicated because you got to try to take the people who have lived here forever and haven't had to pay for anything. You know, when you go and play in the hills, and you're right, Don, it costs you some gas and, you know, the cost of the side-by-side, right, or the four-wheeler, you know, to go up in the hills. And like I said, that's one of the things, that's our nature, is we're automatically going to push back against that because you're invoking on our freedom in some sense, because we get to, you know, do pretty much what we want.
Yeah.
You know, and so I get that, but I'm like JD too. It's why it's very tough is because, look, at some point, nobody's going to like everything, right? Like not everybody's going to like the idea of the trail system.
Right.
But if the trail system works and it has the potential to make that kind of economic impact, it was something I'm pretty sure it was Mark Blackburn said, and he's right. When we travel, people want to hear us talk. We are curious to these people because of our accents, and they will pay to come here and ride in these mountains. And that's the idea, right? Is to get people to come here and spend their money so that our local economy can grow. And if that happens, then there's going to be revenue to fix roads, to do all the things that we talk about. Like I've been out campaigning hard for the last week and a half, like just every night. And the three things that I hear is trash, our roads,
right,
and the water.
Well,
and
the water's improving.
The water's getting better, but that's still a concern for people, and I understand. And so I've taken the opportunity to really talk to people about the progress we've made. And that's what I said the other night. People have told me you don't need to talk about the water. Why? I'm proud of what we've done. I'm proud of it.
And we're on the trash.
Yeah, and we're on the trash thing. We need to get on that. And there's just so much potential here.
Right, but when it comes to roads and infrastructure, there is still a valid point to be made when you say, okay, we're going to start charging for things that you get for free, and we're going to ignore the outstanding taxes that are back owed to us. Okay? So my only point is, whoever the leaders are, whether it's Eric, Kobe, or all of you magistrates, you, Jimmy Don, whoever, when you guys sit down, it would be amazing, and it would be totally probably a miracle if you all would say, you know what, we're going to hold the people who owe us first accountable. We're going to check that box. Then we're going to move to the next box, and we're going to go to our enforcement, our code guy, and we're going to give him power and say, okay, this is what you can do for people, because it doesn't matter if you're poor. Just because you're poor doesn't mean that you can throw your trash in your yard. And then when it comes to the trail system, my only stand on it, look, I don't care what y'all do. I mean, I do. I would hate to see, the trails go completely to where you have to pay for every trail. And I don't think that'll ever happen. But I do think the people need to have a say in it. And even the two judge candidates agreed. The people should have a say. Ask them, please quit telling people in Martin County, because when you have leaders that take these stands that say, I know best for Martin County, you're disparaging the actual citizens. You're telling them that because they don't have this or because they don't have that they don't have a brain. That's not true. They can think for themselves. These are some of the smartest people in these mountains. They can think for themselves. Let them have a choice. Put it on the ballot.
I don't think, what do we think? And this is just, I don't know, it came to my head as you were talking there, but the trail system will only go through a certain part of the county, right? So most people that are riding in the county ride where they live, right? Kind of ride in the areas where they live, and there's different places. Should the entire county vote on something like that, or just the area that's affected where the trails will actually go through?
What? And again, I'm going to ask you guys, what's everybody so scared of?
Well, I don't know that anybody's scared, but any government, any local government, in any state, in any nation, make decisions just like this without putting it on the ballot for the whole county to vote on. So I don't know why this is.
And then you know what happens? You get voted out.
Well,
you get voted
a lot of times
out.
you do, and a lot of times you don't, because then you complain about term limits, then you still vote for the same person. So I've seen that happen over and over.
So except for in this area, yes, I will concede on that. We tend to keep voting the same way. We tend to keep, and I shouldn't say we, because I haven't got to vote in Martin County, but and since I've been probably 20 years old, I haven't got to vote in Martin County. You've got to quit voting for the same people. If you don't like the results, if you don't like seeing people move away, and you don't like seeing your kids have to leave after they graduate high school, if you don't like those results, quit voting for the people that you go to church with and that you go to school with and that you're buddies with, because they have been groomed by the same old, same old, same old, same old. It's just never going to change until you have somebody in here that's willing to take an unpopular stand and go, look, I'm not scared. I'm not scared of the people. Like if I was a leader in Martin County, I would absolutely say, I want the people to decide on this trail. If I think the people are voting wrong, like for me personally, I think that the trails will help. So what I would do is I would go and make my case. You've got the internet, go on Facebook and go, this is why I think you should vote for the trails, and educate them on the things that you know. Instead, the way the leaders do it back here is, we need this, we need that, and this is what's right for everybody. Well, tell me why it's right. You can't just strip people's voices like that.
Right. Well, but just like I just said, I mean, Lexington, Fayette County, Urban County government, I mean, they make decisions just like this without putting it on a countywide vote.
Yeah, that's what I was going to
what,
say, JD.
that's the function of local government.
Yeah, that's kind of the point of electing the leader.
Sure.
But that's why the debates, like what we did, was
that's
good.
why it's important. Yes.
That's why it's important. So you know where somebody stands, and you can make the proper decision.
And that's,
like Don's saying, on who represents what you are trying to say.
Yes, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I literally said that. You've got to know, these people need to get on Facebook and tell you your position. If you vote for a magistrate that thinks you need to get an extra, I don't know, $20 to ride a trail, if you vote for him, he's going to vote for that on the fiscal court, and then that's going to be your rule. So if you don't like that, don't vote for him. Know what your magistrates are thinking before you ever cast your vote.
And decide what issues are important to you, the most important to you, because you're not going to find a candidate I think you line up with 100% on any election, right? But figure out what issues are important to you and align yourself with that person, and then vote for that person, support them. But again, I'm like with Jimmy, Don, and I'm sure Don, you feel the same way. That's why Wednesday and Thursday night was so important to our county. Mm-hmm. We got to hear firsthand these candidates answer questions, give their vision for the future, and that's why it's important that people, turned out and people tuned in. It was good. Yeah.
So let's talk about, we know we've got a general election coming up in November. And we will probably do something like that again. And let's talk about what we experienced. Like, what can we do better? Like, number one, a PA system, right? We need to get a PA system for sure. Number two, I think making sure we've got a hardline internet connection so that it doesn't go out when it's being streamed live would be good. Anything else? Like, I heard a lot of people, I think it was Dawn said she was talking to some ladies in the bathroom and said, hey, we used to have a big cookout when they would do this.
They didn't know I was in there. Yeah. And they were talking about, I guess at the speakings, they were community events, which is exactly what Wednesday and Thursday night was. It was a community event. It was completely free. You got to come out and you got to hear exactly where these magistrates stood. And they were all men, ladies. So I definitely encourage women to get out there and run for things too. We had one woman, and that was Susie. But yeah, they didn't know I was in there, and they were talking about how the kids would play and run around, and you got to see your friends and cook out, and then the candidates would take the mic and they would talk about what they were going to do. And in this case, we were able to ask some questions. We were so honored to be able to ask questions and get all these answers from these candidates. But ultimately, you have to come out. You have to. And I'm going to talk to my people, okay? And when I say my people, I'm talking about the people who feel like you are completely just ignored all the time and they don't say much. My people are really quiet. They don't say anything. Please listen. Vote for the people who you are in line with. Don't vote for your buddies this time. Go up to your magistrate candidates and ask them what they think about this, that, and the other. If you have valid complaints about your water, find out about what your magistrates think about that, okay? Because your magistrates are ultimately voting on all the issues that you guys are complaining about. You complained about your free trash being pulled away. That was your magistrates. Okay, because things like that are never going to be put on the ballot for you, because remember, they don't think that you can make the right decision. That if you don't like the trails, that's going to be voted on by your magistrates, because unless there's a big pushback, it's not going to be put on the ballots, because remember, they think that they can make the best decision for you. Okay. And I understand that's somewhat of the role of the government, but ultimately the role of the government is to work for the actual people. So we're not a king, we're not a monarch system. We don't have these men to where they can just say, I know what's best for you and that this is how I'm going to vote. You can't do that. You cannot look down on people like that.
So the question, what we learned, I'll tell you what I thought we learned, man. The most disappointing thing to me was that we didn't have many young people there.
Couldn't get them.
I don't know what we do differently going forward to get them there. I know we reached out to a couple of different people trying to get some youth out there and just couldn't. And that was disappointing. That was probably the most disappointing thing of the weekend for me, or the week.
Well, it was spring break too.
But it was spring break. That's fair. But I would like to see our young people get more involved in the process, and maybe we can do a better job of maybe not schedule during spring break or something. I don't know, but I would like to see us get more young people involved. Maybe that's with a cookout. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm sure we'll come up with something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it was a lot of fun. I was very pleased. The crowd was bigger than I expected it to be. And I think people understand now that the three of us, all we really have in mind is the best for our county. We want to see it grow, and we want the information to be out there and for it to be debated, what we do here on this show. You know, that's what we want to be out there and for people to talk about. And so, no, I thought it was great. And, you know, there's little things that can be tweaked, but overall, I thought it was a really good couple of nights for the people of the county to hear about their candidates.
Right. I think they all did good. Every candidate did good. I disagree, David. I think it was a completely fair question because every other
people see what they're talking about.
He was the only one that showed up for that area, and he answered it just fine. He did good.
I think that's why the question was asked, because it's his district. It's his district.
It's fair to ask him. Yeah. And then, Angie and Joe, I don't know if there's another county, and that's not the argument. The argument is we took the free trash without a good plan in place to enforce what's going to happen when the trash ends up in the ditch line.
No, that's truth. I agree
with that. That's fact.
Okay, so I mean that's where it's at. I'm all about trash pickup and I'm all about the trails, but you cannot take one side all the time, and that's what Martin County always does. You have to look at it full circle. We know he doesn't have any say in city policy. We know that only a select few voters that live within the city have that say, but we wanted to know, and that's how the question was framed, if he was able to choose, then what would he choose? And he answered it beautifully. In my opinion, I thought that he did good.
He considered to go countywide, to where it's just not the city. It could be considered countywide. And that's something that may get posed to a magistrate at some point. And it's a tough question.
It is not. It is not a tough question. I disagree.
Here it is.
Here it is, and for no reason, for absolutely no reason.
So
people make the alcohol question tough here. You'll like this, JD. People make the alcohol question here tough because of church, but they never want to talk about other things that are also killing people in the church.
Right.
Okay, they won't talk about obesity that kills many more people than alcoholism does. And a sin is a sin. If you truly are Christian, JD, back me up, the ultimate sin is not believing in Jesus, right? The last I checked, everybody goes on vacation from Martin County, and they go to Myrtle Beach, and they go wherever we all go, and we sit in restaurants that serve what?
Alcohol. Applebee's.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it.
Olive Garden. Yeah, I don't either. Chili's, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey, we haven't read the trash ordinance. That's true. But I know there's trash all over the county, and nobody's getting tickets for it. I do know that.
Well, hopefully we'll give warnings first, because everybody's
of course.
Everybody's struggling.
We all recognize it's still a problem, even with with what I think is not a good plan in place.
I spend a lot of time.
The way I understand it.
Sorry, JD. I spend a lot of time in other counties, right, with my job. So I'm in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have the garbage problem that we have here. You know why? Because they enforce it.
Right.
You will pay it. They'll attach it to your water bill, or you'll get your meter pulled. They'll attach it to your taxes, or you get your property tax bill sold. You'll get all those things done. Like, they enforce it. And I think we've kind of figured, look, the trash policy, I like it personally. I like being able to roll my garbage can down here and they come pick it up. I like that.
Right.
I can also afford that. But I also, we have to enforce the rules that are in place.
Right.
If we don't, then nothing's ever going to happen.
Right. Which is exactly what I've been arguing for an hour. People seem to be confused, but I'm all about the trash thing, but you have to have a plan in place when it doesn't work. And we don't have, it's clearly not working because the trash is not going in the bins. It's going in our ditch lines. And do you think that people are going to come to the trails of Martin County and ride through the county when there's trash everywhere? You see, all these things work together. They all work together.
Yeah. And I think, but also, people are going to throw trash on those trails. It should be another bill. We should make revenue on that because we should be refining them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I agree on that too. Oh, I'm all about finding for litter, period. Yeah. But in this case, in this area, because again, the demographic is, we have to consider the time. We're just now trying to come out of a pandemic. Inflation is through the roof. People are paying tons of money for everything, and you're not getting as much as what you used to get. So it's a hard time to just start slinging fines. So if we could warn people, talk to people, have hard conversations like this, I think it helps.
Yeah, I think we all want everybody to use good judgment and be reasonable. But one thing that is concerned about the trail system that I hadn't given a lot of thought to is code enforcement on the trail. Does that fall? Who's that fall to? Does that fall to the sheriff's office? Because we know how stretched he is already, right? With his 4 deputies and 2 of them are volunteers or whatever.
Right here, JD. They have trail rangers for Hatfield McCoy, and they do find people for littering.
Well, good. So
good.
That's good. Good deal.
Jobs.
I hope that maybe we can use that model of what they've got and bring that and incorporate that here.
Well, we need to start with the roads first.
Yeah, that's the one thing, and I will say, just being out, that I didn't realize. And because I live in a bubble, right? I legit live in a bubble. I go to work. I get home at 7 o'clock.
You're on the 4-lane all the way, brother.
I'm on the 4-lane, dude. That's where I'm at. And I don't see it. But being out really talking to people, dude, I'm not joking. There's a road. It's just right up here. And it's the old road between my house and Zip Zone. Yeah. Well, it is a mess. And they actually had poured some blacktop there, right? They cut one side of the road, essentially made it 1 lane. And I came off the new blacktop and hit the biggest pothole I've hit in 20 years. And I thought I busted my tire. Like, that's how deep that pothole was.
Right.
Coming off brand new blacktop. And I mean, it's like that everywhere. And it's a shame. We just got to figure out how to get the money to do these things. And economic improvement will allow that to happen.
Well, another thing, and I have to ask you guys this question. I know I'm on a roll tonight, ruffling people's feathers, but I love ruffling feathers. This is what I do, okay? I'm going to force you to look at all sides, and when you hang up from this podcast, you're going to say, I hate her, but then another time you're going to come back and say, I love her. You have to look at all sides. Somebody needs to tell me why we have so many vacant buildings within the city of Inez. No other city does that. Okay, so the reason why you have dead Inez is because you have dead, empty buildings, beautiful buildings. You could have, if you were moist, you could have live music like Paintsville does, Prestonsburg. And remember, Christians, this is going to shock everybody, they're not just in Martin County. They're over here in Prestonsburg, and they live in moist counties. They're in Louisa, they're in Pikeville. Tennessee is as Christian and as red as it could possibly be, and there's alcohol everywhere. Just like there are cigarettes,
Republicans drink,
right? Just like there are cigarettes, just like there are cakes that make you obese. There are all these things, okay, that help drive the economy, and they're multifaceted. If Inez would release some of those buildings, or at least like every other town, if you own a building within Inez, you usually would have a limit. 5 years, you have to lease it or put a business in it. You can't just board it up and let it sit vacant. But we don't do that in Inez. And you want to know why? Everybody knows why. So that's why you need to vote. That's why you need to push back a little bit. Inez is a beautiful little town. They've got it looking very Hallmarky. When they did the Christmas in the Mountains,
it looked awesome.
It was so pretty. And when we did the debate, that old courthouse, stunning. You have so many people right here in Martin County that can pick a guitar, pick a banjo. They can do all those things better than anything that you see on
Tell some
CMA. Yeah, tell some jokes. Better than anything you see on TV. You've got that right there in Martin County. But all of that talent has nowhere to be on display. Because you want to know why? When you go to a comedy show, whether you drink or not, I barely drink. You can ask anybody. Whether you drink or not, lots of people do. And they go to comedy shows and they order a cocktail. Or they go to a concert and they have beer in their hand. Or you go to vacation and you wait in line on one side of the restaurant because there's no tables. If you go over on the bar side, it's completely open, but you feel safe on this side, but the alcohol is on that side, but yet it crosses both sides. This closed-mindedness makes no sense to me.
We had the Donnie Baker show last year, April 23rd, and I wish you could have seen the faces on the comedians made when I told them we were dry. The county was dry. They was like, what?
No.
That still exists? Because everywhere they go, they're used to people. And that's how a lot of these places make good money. You know, you have to pay for the talent. You know, Donnie Baker's expensive, Jimmy Don, right? Like,
yeah, he
you
was.
had to pay this cat to come in.
I paid him.
And a lot of places are able to pay him that because they make money on the food. No, not on the food, on the drinks. The drinks is where the money is, where the businesses make their money.
Yeah.
And we're just cutting our own throats, spite our face. And for what reason, I have no idea. I've not had a good, intelligent debate of why alcohol is bad for a community yet, because the DUIs numbers aren't up in Warfield, and all they're doing is making money every month. And so why it's a bad thing in INS, I'll never understand it.
Yeah, they pulled a lot of business from Kermit. They let money go to Kermit, and now they have money in Warfield. INS can do it too. Look, nobody is advocating for bars. I would not like to see bars in INS. I think how INS needs to go is like this, like I said, like a little Hallmark town, to where you have like Miss Linda's or the Shuffling Cafe. They could serve like wine or a drink, liquor by the drink if they chose to. I'd like to see the buildings, beautiful buildings, guys. Just open your eyes. Such stunning old architecture buildings. Those could have string lights up. And it doesn't have to be about live music and comedy. It could be about gospel shows. I live in Tennessee. They have the best preachers, women preachers go up to, all these bands, and they are going in these big convention centers, and alcohol is all around them. And those Christians just go right by that alcohol. They're not even tempted. They just go right by it. I mean, imagine that. Just stop thinking that if you think that, they serve a glass of wine in Inez, that it means you're not Christian. That's not even how Jesus did it. Jesus literally went and talked to people who wasn't living the way that he wanted them to.
He turned water into wine.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not advocating for bars. I'm playing devil's advocate tonight, and I have enjoyed it thoroughly. You cannot have trails if you have trash in the road. You cannot have Airbnbs and cabins if your water can't even go to the houses that are in the county right now. You cannot have people pulling in side by sides if your roads have big potholes and are falling into the river. And most certainly you cannot have people stop in if you do not have hotels, and you do not serve alcohol, because you know where they're going to go? They're going to come over here.
County over.
That's right.
And that's what I'm going to tell you about 645. I thought that was a great point. Somebody brought that up about 645 going through to West Virginia. We need to be ready when it does.
Yes.
We can't wait until after it's done.
Yeah.
We need to be ready now. And when it goes through, we're pulling those people instead of the opposite thing happen and those people pulling us.
Well,
we need to pull that money across this way.
One point, I'm interested to know what you all think about this, which is very, very true. And it's been because of, lack of choice, really. But we don't shop in our own county. We go outside of our own county to shop. There needs to be some push for local entrepreneurs to, somehow help to open a business where you could go and shop for clothes, where you could go and get some shoes, where you could go and get something. And we need to try to shop in our county. Yes. We have made Prestonsburg and Paintsville grow and Louisa grow because we will go outside the county and spend our money because we can't get something to eat here. because we can't have a beer here
You
when we're
can't.
getting something to eat.
Yeah.
Go try to find a buy a dress shirt in this county. Where are you going to
Yeah.
go?
Yep.
You can't do it. Buy
Yeah.
a tie in a shirt. You can't do it.
But you can. Honestly, you can. I mean, I'm about to the point of,
Well, please do. Tell me where it's at.
I'm about to the point of renting myself a podium in the middle of Inez and just standing up there, like Lisa said, and preaching. Let me tell you guys, look around yourself in Martin County. You're some of the, and I'm not biased, I have a daughter that is a contracted model. You're some of the best looking people on the planet. Everywhere I go, they brag on how good looking East Kentucky women are. I'm not lying. They really do. And the men too. You're going to ask, why did I bring that up? Because it helps. Wouldn't you rather go to an area that has good looking people than a bunch of people that you can't stand to look at? I mean, that's just honest. And then when you go down to Inez, think about it. Look at the buildings.
Yeah.
Imagine those buildings with lights on. Imagine them with your teenagers getting to go in there and maybe sit around and have coffee and be able to have broadband and do all these little small downtown things that every other downtown is doing except for Inez. If you compare Inez to Paintsville, and Paintsville has the alley, they're charging $20 to even walk in the door there, and people stand in line to do it. In Paintsville, although I love it, it is nowhere near as cute as Inez.
No, it's not.
I promise it really isn't. Inez is adorable. You could have that. You could have people walking up and down the streets there, and you could have, we have Stephanie who has the flower shop. Mm-hmm. People looking at that. You could have Daniel's spirit shop. You could go there. You can buy shirts and stuff. But we don't do anything about small businesses. We don't force people who own buildings in Inez to put a business in, so that makes Inez look dead. If you don't want to put a business in, at least rent it out. Let somebody live in there. My God, do something. And these are where Eric and Kobe, who are running for judge, and I don't know if they'll ever push or not, but you've got to push these things. Somebody has to stand up and say, look, we love what you've done for the county, talking to the past leaders. We so appreciate you, but we're dying and we're done. So let's try to shift it up. I promise I'll spend my money in Martin County. I'm dying to spend my money in Martin County. I'm constantly sharing stuff. I'm doing everything I can, but you have to look at the rest of the world. And
I'm telling you, I got the ideals. I can get people out. I'm telling you, I got ideals.
JD has crazy. JD thinks completely outside the box, and the people don't. And you know, everybody knows JD's my boy, and I love him, but he really does have good ideas. I've asked him to be on boards with me because he thinks different, and I want him to think different. The best boards I've ever been on, just like this podcast, we don't always agree, but we generally can talk it out and get to a good consensus. And that's the thing. I also think that we really need to start a chamber of commerce where we can promote the businesses that we have in the county.
Sure, absolutely.
We need to promote what we have here and have a place where people can go grab coupons, you know, for the local businesses. Pamphlet, anything, just to promote the people that are doing here. We've got some of the craftiest people in the world here. Have you seen these people make quilts? I got a quilt downstairs right now that I have drugged to every college, every place I've ever lived. My granny made it, and it is holding up just like it did back then. I use it every day of my life. It's just, you know, there's things like that where you need to promote our businesses. You need to promote what we have. I would love those buildings downtown in Inez. I would love for someone to work with them as an entrepreneur and mold them as an entrepreneur and help them start their business. Maybe you give it to them rent free for a period of time to allow them to get off the ground, but you also offer them some guidance in how to do taxes and how to market and how to do those things. And people do that everywhere.
Do you know why Toyota come to Scott County, Kentucky, and Georgetown? Is because they put together a plan. They came together and said, here's going to be your incentive to come here. And that's what we have not had in Martin County. As far as I know, as far as I can tell, we've not had that. We've had the opposite of having. We've had people knocking down the door trying to get in and not being able to.
And won't let them.
What we need is people who are putting together plans to bring these businesses in. And I know everybody talked about jobs the other night. And jobs, nobody's going to say we don't need any more jobs because everybody needs more jobs, right?
Sure.
But we need people that are willing to sit down at the table, work together, that apathy that was talked about the other night, and make it work and put together a tax plan. And here's why you should come to Martin County, because you're going to make money here. We're going to make sure we're going to give you 5 years of tax-free business. Go do
100%.
it. And,
Yeah.
we're going to rent this room out to this small business over here for 6 months and not charge them any rent. And after that, if they're in business for 20 years, you just made 15 or 19 and a half years of rent off that person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no big deal, right?
That's right. So 6 months is nothing. And that's what we need, man, in my opinion.
We
No,
do.
I agree. And you need a physical court that will work together.
Mm-hmm.
And, I was starting to go into this the other night, but I didn't. We look at ourselves as 5 districts. I did go into this somewhat, but, I talk a lot about the blacktop budget for District 2 at $16,000 a year. That's a joke. I couldn't blacktop half of your driveway, JD, for $16,000.
No.
I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah. It's
So
awful.
what you've got to do, in my opinion, is you basically go around to your districts and you essentially, okay, here are the issues. As I've been out campaigning, I'm actually keeping a notebook of here are the issues that people are talking to me about. And I ask them, what are your top 3 issues, whether it be countywide or here locally, that is a concern to you? What are those things? Well, I'm taking those notes and putting it down. And then I'm talking to some people. JD, I've got some notes for the water district we're going to talk about tomorrow. So there's some things that, that are out there like that. Flooding up through here. Flooding is a problem. How do we get our creeks dredged so that we don't have as many issues? Those are the things I'm talking to the people about out there, and they're giving me the notes to be able to do it. Well, you list those things. Okay, here are the top 10 projects in my district. And then you go look at the top 10 projects in everybody else's districts and maybe the worst, and then you rank those.
Right.
And then you put the money into getting those fixed, and you fix them right. You
and what's going to have the most impact, right? What's going to have the most impact?
What's going to have the most impact? And you go fix that, and you fix it right so that you don't have to go back to it for 50 years.
That's right. And then just talk to your people Let them know why you made the decision to put the money over here versus over there. Talk to your people. That's all I'm saying. The people cannot be forgotten just because they're quiet or just because when you look at the demographics that they fall in an area that, you think that they are not smart. That's not true. They're plenty smart. Talk to the people, let them decide what they want. And then the magistrates, like you said, Jimmy Don, decide where you're going to put the money. But by all means, let your people know why you did it. Otherwise, remember, we still have that hillbilly mentality to where we want to fight, right?
Yep.
Or they'll get mad at you. And then they'll think that you're, not doing your job or doing this or doing that. And that's just not the case.
No, I just laughed, Todd. He's cracked me up all the way through this. Yes, it was a pleasure. I just have to say, it was a pleasure to meet your husband, Don. You realize that these debates was the first time the 3 of us have been in a room together.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's first time ever that we were ever in a room. And we do this podcast every week and have been with Don for over a year now. Yeah. And it was the first time that the 3 of us had actually been in a room together. And that was one of my highlights. It was actually good to see everybody.
It was. Sure. It was good to see everybody. I saw so many people that I grew up with and that I love. I love people. And I loved your line, Jimmy Don. You said Martin County from your head to your toes. I totally believe that because, I just adore Martin County and Eastern Kentucky. And you guys don't know where my passion comes from, but my passion comes from moving away. And when I moved away, when you're away from Eastern Kentucky and from the safety of Eastern Kentucky, and you have people make fun of you and doubt you and underestimate you, it lights a fire in you. And that's why I wanted to come back. I promise you, there's a stereotype of us. And then when you come back and you have to fight these little minute things, I promise we should never be talking about why buildings in downtown Inez sit vacant. It is a common thing for all of the cities across America to try to keep their little downtowns open, that they have the buildings to where if you purchase it, you have to either put a business in it or lease it to a business or rent it. It can't sit vacant. These are so common. Like, this is just easy peasy. We could just fix that, boom, just like that. Your leaders could fix that.
So let me address that comment real quick, because I think maybe the message maybe got muffled a little bit. We wouldn't say poor people. We wouldn't blame the poor people for littering. We're saying it's not an excuse. I mean, $20 a month, I know it's tough, but we're saying it's not an excuse. Being poor doesn't give you an excuse to be nasty.
No, they took everything we said wrong. Don't even argue it, because honestly, what we're saying is poor people are just that, and that's a stat. Don
was standing up for poor people being targeted through the tax bill.
I don't care how they took it. If we can't explain it to everybody, but everybody else knows. What I'm saying is, if we're going to come up with ways to make money in Martin County, I'm all for it. If you take the money that's already owed to the county before you go after people who are living check to check. There is nothing wrong with that message. I will die on that hill. You will not go after people who are living check to check and living on fixed incomes without going after the people who can afford to pay what they already owe first. And then we can take that money and we can look at the trash, because now we're going to have to invest money into getting this trash picked up. Am I not right, guys?
No, you're 100% right. Yeah.
Okay. So we didn't fix anything.
Yeah.
But we're going to.
We're going to have to do some community cleanups. We're going to have to do some things like that to really get the start. To get started, you're going to have to do some things like that. But then you're going to have to crack down on people. And I mean, you really are. And look, guys, while I've enjoyed this, I have to get back out on the campaign trail. Like I've got at least another hour and a half going.
Right. Well, so we need to say something about Ro Khanna that came on, because you missed a lot. You missed a lot,
awesome,
Jimmy Don.
Dude.
Yeah,
I was on with Ro.
We had Ro come on because we didn't get to talk about it because we missed. We had Ro come on. Y'all go back, check that out. He's a progressive from California. I know I'm Republican, but I work across the aisle. Doesn't make me a sinner. And
we pissed off some guy from Breitbart.
Yes. Definitely keep an eye on us, because we've got all kinds of stuff cooking that it's a little overwhelming, but we're getting the voice out there, right?
And Dawn, what about your big Politico?
Yeah. Well,
Dawn's been doing an interview with the Politico here soon, seems like.
We'll be doing an interview, and we're going to fight. All of us are going to fight, and I couldn't do it without Jimmy Don and JD. I mean, they just brought me onto the podcast, and I think it's because I tick everybody off.
I think it's because you're hot, but whatever.
Right. That's what Todd said. I was like, yeah, keep telling yourself that. But
I'm gonna be honest with you, Don. JD and I didn't know what we were getting into. So,
but just said Bourbon's going to be, our name is going to be in Politico, and then we've got all kinds of stuff cooking. So, and it's getting out there nationally. People are going to stop thinking that Eastern Kentucky and that Appalachia is dumb and ignorant. That's going to stop. It's going to stop.
No, I agree. Like I said, I will take the Pepsi challenge with the people of Martin County any day of the week, any day. And we got some of the best people around. And I don't care from the top to the bottom. We have some of the best. I've met a bunch of them, and people I didn't even realize were out there, to be honest with you. Let me tell you something. Can I say this real quick? I want to talk about, I know I'm, running for office, but it's been really interesting. Like a couple of things campaigning is, number one, it's been like a family reunion for me. I thought I would hate campaigning because I talk all day, right? And then I come on here and I talk, and I'm never at a loss for words ever. So I thought, I'm not going to like this, because I like to come home and I'm almost like a hermit. Like I come home from work and I stay in with Amy and the girls. I've had a ball. Like out here talking to people, connecting with people, getting to know people, talking about what their concerns are, and to find out. And that was one of the things about Ro Khanna that was interesting, how talking to him he was pretty real. And, and I've went back and looked at a lot of his policies, and I don't agree with him on everything.
I don't agree with him hardly on anything.
But what he was saying, we could work with somebody like that here.
Yeah.
You just got to be open-minded enough to do it. And out talking to these folks, I've realized that we just have to be open-minded. We have to talk to each other. Don said it over and over and over tonight. We just have to talk to one another.
Right.
And it's been, I don't know, this has been one of the great undertakings. Like, I've enjoyed this. Like, I really have. And I hope I'm fortunate enough to get elected, because I think I can help. I really think I can help. And I'm starting to understand what the true issues are. The issues that I have are not the same as my neighbors down the street. They have completely different concerns. Right. And it's kind of getting that all together. And I just believe, and this is, I told both of these guys when we left the other night, I felt more hope walking out of that building about Martin County than I have in a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And if we can, if the right people can get in, and the people that do get in will work really hard, we got a chance, guys. We've got a really good foundation here. And we've got people like us that are concerned and are invested in the process and what's going on. Mm-hmm. I think if we all stand up together and we start rowing that boat in the same direction, we'll be just fine.
I just hope that everybody works together, man. I think if everybody just works together, like you said, and rows the boat the same direction, I agree. We'll be just fine.
I think that both of y'all summed that up really good. But honestly, I have to agree with JD. The candidates who came out, the ones that we got to see, you're in good hands. There is so much passion. There's so much intelligence, and there is so much, just willingness. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to stick your neck out and to go on air and to be videoed. I mean, the Mountain Citizens streamed us and they did great. We love them over there. Did you see how many views it got?
Yes.
I mean, it was,
crazy,
it was 5,000 people, watched, and they got to hear. And, maybe you didn't agree with some of the questions. That's why it's called a debate. That's why it's called a town hall. But don't worry about that. Worry about the fact, or think about the fact that these men showed up. It takes a lot to show up when you're going to get hard questions asked to you. And the reason why you want to ask hard questions to your leaders is you want to know exactly what they're thinking.
Do they have an answer?
And and you want to know how you can put a lot together by them just saying a yes or no question if they have to. And all these candidates did great. Every one of them did good. And like I said, it was just so cohesive. And the camaraderie was there. It was very pro Martin County. The next one we have will be in the fall. How many requests did you guys get? I got at least a half a dozen.
Yeah, me too.
So to have one in the fall.
None. I got 0.
Who don't like you, JD?
Bring your kids out. Bring your kids out. Let them. I loved how some of the candidates brought their kids and took family pictures right there in that old courthouse.
Awesome.
You guys would just have to have been there to see the life that was in that courthouse.
I just gotta say, meeting Betty Jo was the highlight of my week.
Mine too.
I take that back. Married my wife. Last night I said that, and I got married last week.
Yeah, you got married. My highlight was meeting Betty Jo.
Meeting Betty Jo at the debates was definitely the highlight.
She already likes you guys better than me.
Right,
it was great.
I love y'all.
Yes,
yeah, I got to go campaign.
So
all right, guys, thanks for coming and hanging out with us tonight. I love that discussion. Great discussion. Had a great time last week at the debates, and really proud of our county. I really am. So with that being said, you know where to find us. Podbean, iTunes, wherever you got podcasts, we are there. Don and JD keep the conversation going over on the social media channels or the social media pages. And as we always end this thing, from myself, from JD, and from Don, no matter how bad your week's been, no matter how bad your day's going, if you just have bourbon, it always gets a little bit better. We'll see you guys next week.
Love y'all.